Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Tony Talks. I am your host, Tony Rodriguez. Tony Talks Get Up and Grow is a show which is my having conversations with some of my fascinating friends who are all inspirational leaders, influencers, change makers, people that aren't just doing well in life, but that are doing good in the world and contributing by giving back, giving of themselves, of their knowledge, and making the world a brighter place by again spreading hope, inspiration, and a little bit of light. And today's guest is another friend of mine. Natalie Susi is an amazing individual. She is a professor. You know what? I'm going to mess this up, but in San Diego. I'll let her announce exactly where it is. University of San Diego, I believe it is. She is a writer, a speaker, a mentor, an entrepreneur, and founder of Conscious Conversations, which is what we're going to have today. Again, this is a conversation with myself and Natalie, but also with you. So I'm just going to bring her on. So please ask your questions, share this video while she comes on. There she is. It's Natalie Susi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. It's beautiful to see you all tonight or to be here. Thank you for that beautiful intro.
My pleasure. It's a pleasure to have you on here, gracing my screens, or our screens, as it were.
I'm so happy to be here. I said when I posted it, I was like, yeah, we're just going to do real talk, Tony Talks, perfect, conscious conversations. I know it's going to just flow and be awesome. So thanks for having me.
Well, basically, that's what it's about, right? It's about having a conversation, asking, and so many people talk about coaching and talk about, what it is that we do. And the reality of it is, it's just an intentional conversation, right? So I love the name of your company, or of the thing that you're doing, which is Conscious Conversations. Because that's really what it is. It's about having an intentional conversation with someone that you're helping to move and to grow and to inspire, right? So
absolutely.
So here we are. We had a great conversation the other day. We were talking about relationships, and I think that's probably where we're going to go tonight.
I love talking about that stuff. I don't do it publicly often, so thank you for creating a space for me to feel comfy doing that. It is one of the things that I feel most inspired by. So when we talk about conscious conversations, I say, like, what is a conscious conversation? A conscious conversation is when you create a space for authentic, genuine, win-win connections for everybody all of the time in all of your communication situations. And that's the goal. But I think it's important to share, like, my sort of healthy obsession with conscious conversations comes from needing to teach best what we most need to learn, right? So the desire to teach all this stuff came from a place of sort of like pain and challenge around it.
Yeah, that's where a lot of it comes from. So, but before we get started, tell us exactly where it is, what you do, and where it is you do it, because I kind of I didn't do a great job doing that. It's just so people know who you are. That right now you're gracing the East Coast with your presence during this little shelter at home phase, stay safe at home phase, right? You're back home for a little bit, but you are now living in California. So tell us a little bit about you, so people know a little bit more about you.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I'm an East Coast girl in a West Coast world for sure. I've been in San Diego for 13 years. I'm from Delaware, and kind of the short version of a long story is that I say, like, I'm a teacher by trade and by heart. That is absolutely what I'm here to do on this planet. I was teaching at San Diego State about 13 years ago. I was laid off in the budget cuts in California. And I was drinking a margarita, and I thought I could make it better. It was very random. It was totally, I'd always wanted to start a business and understand what it was to be an entrepreneur and run my own show in my own life. And it was a show, starting a business in the food and beverage industry. And I created that company over 8 years. I sold it in 2014. And then I woke up one day and I had one of these moments, and I just had one of these moments where I was like, I need to get back to me. I need to get back to my purpose and what I'm meant to do on this planet. And I did a ton of intentions and goal settings. I read a ton of books. I did a lot of seminars that helped me actually manifest my job at UCSD. And I got offered a position to teach a writing and communications course called The Pursuit of Happiness. And I also do personal development coaching and consulting. So I teach people how to get through triggers, patterns, stuck points, in the corporate space, in the personal one-on-one space, and also with my students in the academic space. So that's kind of world of it.
So that's fascinating. So let's just touch back on when you created that beverage company. So it was a drink company, right? Which was like an additive, or what was it exactly?
Yeah, so it was called Bear Mixers, like Bear Naked, and it was an organic cocktail mixer. I trailed off from that part of the story, but I was drinking a margarita and I was like, oh my God, this is 700 calories and it's super sugary and gross and I can make it better. And I came out with Bear Organic Mixers the same year that Skinny Girl Margarita came out, and a slew of other products in that space. So they kind of all blew up. The skinny cocktail space blew up around 2009, 2010. So I created that and I was selling it to a bunch of bars and restaurants in San Diego. And really what it was about that business that I loved was I loved this idea of being a female entrepreneur. And this is going to kind of circle back around in this conversation I'm thinking we might get to today. Is I loved being a female entrepreneur. I loved being surrounded by other women entrepreneurs. And I loved creating a product that could cause them to all have fun in a guilt-free way. And that's sort of where it all started. But the essence of that business was really, I just want to understand what it is to be an entrepreneur. I want to understand what it is to run my own life. And I liked the idea of being a female entrepreneur. That was important to me. That was a title I enjoyed holding and helping others with.
That's awesome. So and then you came back around to your passion of being a teacher, or in this case, a professor, teaching communication and writing. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about communication, right?
Yeah,
interpersonal communication, relationships, and that sort of thing. And I had a great person on the other day that I don't know if you got to catch the episode or not, but Steph Stefano.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if you caught it, but that was a great one. We didn't get to half the stuff we were going to talk about, so I'm going to have him back on in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Good.
So we'll kind of pick up from there, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's important to share like the reason how I came to this, because it seems, it's a long story, and what it came back to was before, when I started coaching and doing personal development coaching, I started date coaching. That's actually who I was. I was a dating coach. And I did dating coaching because I loved working with women, and I loved what I was really doing in that space was teaching women how to develop from the inside out. So hey
everybody, welcome to another episode of Tony Talks. I'm your host, Tony Rodriguez. What is going on there? Today, I have the distinct pleasure of...
It's all good. This happens to me all the time on these things. You good?
Sorry about that. That was weird. I had it open in another screen, so it started going on its own.
That's good. Perfect. Okay, so I was in LA. Two intros. I was in LA and I was the date coach, and it was incredible. And that was where all the coaching started. But it was really all about women and communication and how to develop from the inside out and be self-confident and attract what you're looking for. And that ended up kind of being what it eventually rolled into.
Awesome. So, and how long did you do the dating coaching for?
So I only date coached for about 6 months, but what was happening was I was in LA originally when I very first landed there, and my best friend, who was also, he was my business partner in the company. And so it was kind of this, like, we were both obsessed with learning about personal development, and we were both for this summer, we were both dating like all the time because I had just landed in LA and I was single at the time, and I was sort of nurturing a breakup that had happened a year before that, and then a really short breakup right before I landed in LA, where this is where conscious communication started. And I tell all these stories because I think it's important for people to understand that's like all these sort of what I call like individual ditch moments, like all of these challenges and these dark moments, these difficult moments, I call them ditch moments. They tend to lead us to our purpose, our message, our inner light. They bring us to the light, right? And so I tell the story this way because those were really challenging moments for me. My breakups, I'm 36. I lived half my 30s as a single woman and half my 30s as a woman in some kind of a relationship. And all three of those breakups that I experienced brought out completely different lessons, different sides of me. They were all different teachers, and they were all painful in very different ways. And so I was nursing one of those, and the conscious communication, my sort of healthy obsession, I call it, came with, because a guy ghosted on me. He didn't really, but that was my experience of it at that time. And that's where I learned that term. And that's where I started studying, like, okay, how does this happen? And why do people just cut off communication? And why is it so painful for me when someone cuts off communication? What's underneath all of that? And so that's kind of where it all started. It was all out of pain and suffering.
Well, isn't that where most of things start, right? Out of the need for something. One of the things I've been saying for the last couple of weeks is that innovation is sparked by necessity. And in your case, you innovated and became that dating coach because you needed. You started the conscious conversations because you needed that in your life. And I love what you said, that everything that's happening to us is leading us to our light, is leading us to where we need to go. Tony Robbins, actually, obviously, one of my mentors, says that life is happening for you, not to you.
Yeah.
And it really is. Some of the darkest moments and most painful moments of our lives have shaped us into who we are and made us, head in the direction that we weren't planning on. Most things that happen in our life, and I know it certainly happened to me, and I don't, maybe a little bit of my story, but is, things that happened to me didn't knock me off course. It put me on my course. So I love that what you're saying, that what the things that are happening to you, the failed relationships, the mistakes and everything else are leading you towards your light, leading you towards who you truly are. So absolutely love that.
I thank you. I think that's too, there's a piece of this that I've come to terms with. And some of this is like, well, have I come to this belief and this realization because it sort of makes it make sense to me? Or is it part of what's the real spiritual truth? I don't know. But I think there's a part of this where, we're all on this journey as a soul. We're all on this journey in this lifetime. And I believe that we live many lifetimes and we have these soul journeys in these different lifetimes, and these different teachers teach us these things. And I think one of the things that relationships teach you, and the painful ones too, is if you can put those people in front of you and you can see them, how did they teach me? What did they teach me? How did I learn from it? How did I grow from it? Even if they were like terrible humans in my life from my perspective in the moment, how do I really see them as a teacher? Because it's all about mindset shifts. When you see someone as like, oh, they were a narcissist in my life and they made me feel terrible and they did all these terrible things to me, and that's the constant record that's playing, you're feeling angry, you're feeling frustrated, you're in a fear-based state, right? And you can't it's not supporting you in any way. So shifting the mindset around like, well, what did I learn from here? And when you're in the middle of it, I think for anybody that's watching, when you're in the middle of stuff like this and you're working through this and you're hearing me say these kind of things or hearing us say these kind of things, you're like, screw that. I don't want to hear that. That's bull. Like can we curse here? I don't know if we can curse. But
hello.
I hear this.
Yeah.
Right?
You're back on the East Coast. You're back on the East Coast. It's all good.
But there's such a relief. There's such a release in being like, okay, I'm going to just for a moment try and think of this person as my teacher, and that they were part of my soul journey, and that they helped me learn the lesson and get into a light version, a more evolved version of myself. And it shifts everything, but it's challenging to get there. It's not an easy task.
Yeah, listen, when you're going through it, it's really almost impossible to feel that when you're going through it.
Yeah.
This is, this is the post game show, right? And usually not the day after you're still scorning the person or whatever the hell's going on, right? This is in the days and weeks and months afterwards. It really is important to look back at the pain points and understand what was it that life was trying to teach you. I think it's so poignant what you're talking about, because a lot of people don't know what they want. That's one of the biggest challenges in relationships, right? Yep. So when I'm coaching someone, whether it be to relationship or whether it be to whatever it is in life, and they don't really know what they want, I reverse engineer and says, well, what is it that you don't want?
Oh, that's beautiful.
What is it that you don't want? So what has a shitty relationship taught you? What it is that you don't want?
Yes.
People don't know what they don't want. So a bad relationship can teach you what it is that you don't want. I say growing up, listen, there were great things that I learned growing up from my dad. There were good attributes, but there were some that were just so terrible, and it was not a good experience. We'll say that. But I learned how not to, again, I got work ethic from him. I got responsibility and respect, but I didn't get a whole lot of other stuff, right? So I learned how not to be a dad to my kids, how not, what kind of husband to not be to my wife, what kind of dad not to be, right? Because so every bad experience in our lives teaches us something. Either it's going to teach you what you want more of, or what you don't want any of, or as the saying goes, never again, right?
Totally.
And life will give you, in life you don't get, and I love this line, this is another Tony Robbins line, in life you do not get what you deserve. You don't get what you deserve, you get what you tolerate.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And that's real. Absolutely. 100%. And I think like the hardest, I always like to say, because I don't have a typical story of, or I don't have the story, I should say, where I'm angry about dating or angry about men, or like, I don't have, that's not my narrative. It is on occasion, but generally speaking, I would say I date incredible humans. I have incredible people in my life in all the areas of my life. And I've had a couple of challenging ones, and those people have taught me the biggest lessons. Like I have grown the most from those people, from the one that was the most challenging. I give so much gratitude to now, because I know exactly what I know what I won't tolerate. I know what what I deserve. And it's just really brilliant. I love that line that you just said. Thank you.
Yeah. Listen, the reality, yeah, you're welcome. And the reality of it is, it's the difficult moments. Listen, the days that break you, and again, not my line, the days that break you are the days that make you. It's going to the gym and lifting the hard weights that are going to give you the muscle. It's not lifting, the pillows. It's not lifting the empty bar of weights, right? That's going to give you the muscle. What's comfortable isn't going to force you to grow. What's difficult is what's going to kind of tear your muscle or tear your heart, right? And what hurts, will heal and make you stronger. And so you're right. And again, it's not those blasé, yeah, how was your relationship? It was all right. Well, yeah, that one probably ended anyway. And then you realize that you don't really want that all right relationship,
Absolutely. And I think it's important too, if you're sitting here and you're like, I have these particular issues, or I have this thing that I'm complaining or working around, right? Like trying to figure out, I always ask myself this question, like, where has this happened before? Right? Because the lesson is in like picking up where the blind spot is or where the pattern is, right? So there's a typically when you're going through and you're like, oh, I'm so frustrated about this thing, or I'm so upset, or I'm so hurt by this thing. The thing that you're saying is a thing you have said 10 times before, right? It's the same story, different players, because it's a pattern that's part of your life. It's a pattern that's part of your belief system, or perhaps something that you learned from your parents or something. So there's so much value and understanding. Like when I do coaching, I do something called like a relationship stacking. I say, okay, give me all your relationships. Let's just put them all out on the table and find the bridge in between all of them, right? What is the complaint that you have in all of them? What has somebody been doing to you in all of these? Because you're attracting that somehow. You're creating that somehow. It's not your fault. You don't have to beat yourself up about it. But when you can find the awareness in it, changes everything.
Yeah, well, awareness, I say it all the time, awareness is everything. And normally speaking, if you're always getting the same thing from somebody, it probably is something that you're doing,
totally,
you're saying, or what you're allowing, right? What you're allowing.
Yep.
I say, and this is part of a conversation that, I call it my crap talk, and we're not going to go too far into that. But I say, along the lines of you get what you tolerate. If somebody hands you a brownie on Monday, says you got to try this brownie, it's delicious. You try, you're like, you son of, it's not brownie, it's crap. Right? And then on Tuesday, they say, I got this chocolate cookie you got to try. It's amazing. You got to try. You're like, okay, you try it. And guess what? It's crap again. And then on Wednesday, here's a chocolate souffle. It's delicious, divine, the best thing ever. And you try it, it's crap.
Right.
On Thursday, you get chocolate cake. It's crap. What do you think you're going to get
on Friday?
You're only going to get what you've got if you had it. Right? I and to give just another quick story about that, and this was a study that was done again. I quote Tony Robbins a lot of the stuff that I've learned from him. There was somebody that had done I guess, a non-scientific survey, right? They just decided that they were going to go to the bus stop, and every Thursday he picked one person, the same person every Thursday, he'd give him $10 every Thursday. Just go up to him. What's this for? First, like, what's this for? Oh no, I just want to give you. No. And he took it. The next day, next Thursday, really? Okay, well, thank you. And the Thursday after that, this went on for about 2 months. Week number 9, he shows up. It doesn't give the guy $10. The guy goes up to him, hey, where's my $10? We condition.
Yeah.
How we allow others to treat us conditions them on how they should be treating us.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. I love these analogies. These are so perfect. And I think going back to like the crap dessert analogy too, is it's like, it's not your fault. You don't have to beat yourself up that the person gave you crap for 4 days, but are you going to see it for what it really is? Right. It's nothing that you did wrong to get what you got. That person, that's what they had. So they gave it to you because that's what they're carrying. Right? Happy people are nice people. So happy people are nice people. Life is really that simple. So when people are acting shitty to you, it's because they feel shitty. It's really that simple. Life is like this. But it's just it's coming back to your quote, like, what are you going to tolerate? What are you going to see in black and white here? And it's not about you. You don't need to make it about you. You just need to be aware of it and decide what you're going to do about it. Right? And it's really hard to do all this when you're in love with somebody or you're feeling strong feelings. Or you have them as a parent or a brother or sister, and you've created all these wonky dynamics with them. It's a challenge, and it's all a lesson.
It is absolutely. So what is it that you're doing now? Are you still doing the relationship coaching?
It's for right now, I just call it personal development coaching. I have clients in the corporate space and I have clients that are one-on-one. And I always say, people go like, how do you teach both of these? Well, it's all communication. So I teach a class called The Pursuit of Happiness. Key component of the pursuit of happiness is relationships, and relationships start and end with communication. Well, where do we get all of our communication stuff at? It all comes from uncovering what your beliefs, your triggers, your patterns, and your stuck points are, right? Personal development, the pursuit of happiness, it's a lot of the same kind of content. It's like, let's figure out what happened to you between 0 and 8. How did it create the beliefs that are blind spots in your life? Where is it getting you stuck? What's the record that's playing? What are the patterns that keep repeating? And let's decide on new ones. Let's set new goals and new intentions and develop from the inside out. This is all stuff that you're like, gosh, can speak 10 times to.
No, I love it. Listen, this is the language I love to speak.
Yeah.
So on the communication front, I say it all the time in relationships that the most important thing in any relationship is communication, because so many times that breaks down. There was somebody that was speaking on something today, because there's so many Zooms and so many online webinars and meetings that I'm attempting to get to, and I get to a lot of them, but sometimes I don't get to stay through all of them. Somebody was talking about in relationships and how he in the marriage that he was in, that they never fought. And I said, well, that's kind of a challenge, right? When there's a relationship that nobody ever argues, there's never an argument, there's never a discussion, there's never anything, then I always say that there's something wrong, because somebody's hiding something, because either that or somebody's just subduing and being submissive, but that only goes on for so long until someone cracks, right? So let's talk about communication and the importance of it and the different ways of it, because we were speaking last week or whenever it was, and we were talking about energy and everything else. So let's get into that. That was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that a good place to start with communication. So I have a program that teaches the 6 steps for communication, and we can like kind of in the flow go touch on them. But I think the first piece in any communication situation, and so we really want to get that, like, we're in a communication situation 24/7, right? So like, unless you're in a room with 4 walls and no phone, you're inside of a situation where you are trying to figure out whether you're consciously doing it or unconsciously doing it. Like, how am I communicating with this person? How am I texting? What is the goal that I'm trying to achieve here? What's the feeling that I'm trying to create, right? So the first step, and I think like what you and I really wanted to kind of, or the reason why we were going down this track particularly right now too, is like, well, we're all stuck in our house and we're quarantined. Maybe we're quarantined with people that we want to be quarantined with or not, right? But the idea is that we're probably all getting triggered in some way in this moment, right? And it's because we're all going through these like sort of emotional roller coasters where we're in a fear-based state at some point during the day, right? because we're stuck or we're in this moment of uncertainty and we don't know how long it's going to last. We're all kind of in what I'm calling like a collective ditch moment right now, where we're all kind of, we all have this opportunity to step forward and step into our light and use this as an opportunity to go inward. But we're all getting our fear-based trigger, sort of survival stuff triggered all the time, right? Because we're out of control. It's uncertain how long it'll be. Our finances are at risk for some of us. Our health is at risk for some of us. So it naturally puts you in a fear-based state, which causes you to get more angry and more pissy and all these kinds of things that are annoying when you're quarantined with people.
Yeah, challenge. My wife's a labor delivery nurse, so we're already a month and change ago. She said, "Oh boy, are we going to have a busy December?" December and January are going to be real busy. I says, "Yeah, that and divorce attorneys, right?"
Yeah.
So, it's a challenge because nobody's used to being together this long, for this long in many cases, right? So, communication is absolutely key. On the subject of that, Betty asked, "Do you recommend communicating in front with someone you are dating what you are looking for, or keep it light, have fun, and see what happens?"
Oh, guys, keep the questions coming. This is fun. I love this stuff. What do you think?
Yeah, engage, guys, and by all means, share this video. Please share the video. We're only getting started. And we're already 30 minutes in, which is crazy, but we're only getting started. This is going to get good. And unfortunately, I do have kind of a hard stop at 7.
Perfect.
So,
Perfect. Okay, so do you keeping it light, have fun, and see what happens? Okay, so this is a great question, Betty. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any of these. I'm totally an open book on this stuff in my experience, right? And I think it's important to say when you're asking people for these kinds of questions or advice, like this is through my life lens, it's through my experiences, it's my perspective, right? So there's 100 others that could be awesome too. For me, it's really important, going back to what Tony said, I think, and Tony, you can add to this too, if it feels good to you, but really getting clear on what you want. Like, if you know what you want, you need to express what you want, and you need to be clear about that. So it's like when I talk to women, I say, okay, are you just coming out of a breakup and you just want to get back into the dating space and you want to have fun and you want to like see kind of what you're looking for and the type of person that you have a connection with? Do you just want to have a physical connection? Or are you really looking to really have a deep connection with somebody where it leads to commitment? And in that commitment bucket, is it like, I want to get married again? Or is it, I want to get married, I want to get married again, or I just want to have a partner, right? And so I think it's always good to come from a love-based, authentic place and be clear about what you want. Now, there's some caveats to that, right? Because you don't want to get on a date and say instantly to a person like, hey, I'm looking for a boyfriend, are you it? Right? There's a certain male-female communication piece that comes with this. There's a certain finesse to that. I'm still learning it every day. I'm not an expert or pro. I never use those terms with it. But I will say, and I'll just say one more thing because I don't want to talk too much, but there's this idea around, we are all cave people at the end of the day. Like, there's an evolutionary biological component to dating that we can't ignore. And Tony, this is something that we were talking about the other day. The fact that we want to ignore that now, that we want to be like, well, we're all equal, which we are, but we're not the same. And that issue, that creates a dynamic where there's not a male, female, masculine, feminine in the relationship, and it makes dating all kinds of wonky. So there is, number one, it's important to be very clear what you want and to say what you want. And you also have to learn how to be powerfully feminine and stay in your feminine so that you're not being masculine with a dude. It doesn't work. It's not appealing to them, and it doesn't create the right sexual chemistry.
I love that. We are all equal, but not the same. Boom, drop the mic on that one. That was awesome. Love that. Yeah, absolutely. Love that.
Instead of compete, and we're competing with men, and that's where stuff is getting all wonky.
Yeah, and we spoke about male-female energy the other day, and I guess that's probably the best thing. It's not a competition. You guys are much better at us than most stuff, right? So I do love that. Equal, but not the same. So to get back to Betty's point, and by the way, you can speak as much as you want. I think I speak too much myself on this, and I feel like I need to.
Thoughts on this stuff, though.
What's that?
I love to hear your thoughts. We were having such a good conversation when we were jamming on it. I loved everything you were saying about it. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, again, this is a conversation between us. It's not really an interview.
Right.
So that's what I try to tell people. It's really a conversation. So we wind up talking about the same or however the flow goes. But I will say this. I think that, yes, up front, when you first meet somebody, you don't say, hey, how you doing? Listen, here's what I'm looking for. You're about the right size. Is that your color of hair? Is that your right? You don't really do that, right? You meet somebody, you get to know, and if it's someone that you think you can see yourself being in a relationship with, feel it out for a date or two or three, and then you really got to start opening up about what is it you want. But important to start off with being honest to yourself, being honest to that person. I mean, I think one of the worst things that people do is they have an airbrushed picture, and when you meet somebody, you're like, and all they saw maybe your online dating or on your Facebook profile pic, and it's this picture that's so dialed up that barely looks like you, and then they meet you and they're like, hey, wait, what? Mm-hmm. So I think it's important to just be real. And look, as a man, I understand the whole dynamic behind that. But at the same time, again, it's about being real so that everybody knows what to expect. Yeah. And then at some point, you absolutely have to be real. You can't, it's hard for me to sometimes speak without telling the story. So I'm going to tell a story. Yeah. There was a woman that I know that I was at an event, and they said, hey, listen, come over here and speak with this woman because she's having a situation, because, we talk about write down a list of things that you want in a man. Yeah. And I went over to her, right? I was going to analyze her list, and it was 4 pages.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a lot.
It was 75 or 76 items. Mm. And I'm going through them, and I know her, and I'm going through them. I'm like, listen, I think I'm a pretty good dude. And I'm not hitting half of this list. Yeah. And if this is your list of musts, then you're going into this difficult, he's got to be fit, and he's got to hiking and this, that. I said, well, are you a gym rat? Do you like to go to the gym a lot? Right. Well, not really. Well, do you like to go hiking and all these things? Like, well, yes, sort of. I'm like, so why do you want that in somebody? Right. You're asking for something that isn't going to fit into your life. And then you're going to wonder why it is that's not, it's like wanting a guy that rides a motorcycle and you hate riding motorcycles. You can't get pissed off at the guy because he wants to go ride a motorcycle because now you don't want to ride. So it's important to be honest and authentic. And I know the word authentic is overused. Mm-hmm. Honest and authentic as to who you are and what you want, so you can attract the right person into your life. So at some point, yes, you may go on a date or 2 or 3, and then you need to start opening up and see if you're compatible, and see, because that's what the first 2 or 3 dates are about. Mm-hmm. And then see if you have the same goals and ambitions and everything else, if you're looking for a long-term relationship. That's what I think about it. Then she asks, do you recommend dating right now? The whole 6-foot thing, that's kind of a challenge, but online dating, I guess, would probably be okay. But what's your take on that?
So in this moment of time, I would, so I was on I did a dating thing the other day, and we were just chatting about this too. And there is a lot of people that are taking this moment in time to get their virtual profiles together and get used to kind of, if you haven't done that already, going on there, creating the profile, putting your pictures on. There's a ton of people still doing it. I would highly recommend, if you're interested in dating, you're looking for a partnership, or you're just interested in kind of getting on there and getting out there, totally do it. Use this time where we're sitting at home to study this stuff, to learn this stuff, and to test it out. That's what I would do. I highly recommend that. You can do virtual dates, and you can tell a lot if you have chemistry, communication chemistry. And I think what this moment in time is calling people to do is sort of pushing people into is being open and vulnerable in a different way. And because you can't physically see each other, you can take that physical stuff right off the table and just get to know somebody, which is beautiful. I think it's awesome. And I think this is also a moment in time to just stop too. So if you've been doing a ton of that stuff and it wasn't working before this moment, my recommendation would be to sit and go get a daily practice in place, go meditate, figure out exactly what you're looking for, so that when you step back into it in the physical space, when we're not social distancing, you're even more clear, and you know more about men, and you know more about the opposite sex, or who you're looking for, the partnership you're looking for.
Yeah, and I think it's time to sometimes just sit and learn and know more about yourself, because you get to maybe know yourself more, because you're probably spending more time with yourself now in some cases than at other times. So, and what I recommend again, and this in a way it's good because you're going to meet people, and you're going to meet people and speak this way. So at the very least, they'll know who you are, regardless of how. Look, I'm by the way, I'm all about, you know, taking care of ourselves and looking right, and women with makeup and men, you know, doing something to take care of themselves. Um, but it's in a way it's great because you're not going to go to the beauty salon and airbrush and everything else and then come on every time you're going to have that conversation. And I think that is such a important part. You know, I know everybody loves to have those glamour shots, but if you're on a dating profile, don't use that glamour shot. Put makeup on, make yourself look great the way you normally would make yourself look great, so that when you show up, there's you're kind of in integrity, I guess, because you know, you don't want that disappointment. Listen, I've been in real estate for a long time, and I'm the first one, and I will take the shot. You know, I'll take the shot right now because I'm going to say it. But most realtors, men as well, but usually not as much the men, they have pictures on their cards that are 25 years old.
Oh, really?
Right? 20 years old, or they're so dialed up that when you meet someone, they're like, wow, that's not who I was. I was waiting for the realtor. Oh, I'm her, or I'm him.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. You know, so don't do that with your profiles is what I'm saying. Betty goes on to ask, and then Dana's got a great question as well. She goes on to ask, how do you see the landscape, dating landscape change after we are all out?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean,
mad rush.
Yeah, they're totally. Yeah, for sure. Mad rush for sure. I also think, you know, again, I'm going to come back to that individual moment versus the ditch moment. I think there's going to be a lot of people that come out of this space that you'll be attracting that will have learned a lot. They've gone inward. They've sort of leveled up what I call like on the personal development mountain. And people will be stressed probably because of some financial stuff. So there might be, I'm still working this out in my head. Like, are the men going to be more open and more vulnerable because they've sort of been broken open in some of these ways? Or are they going to be even more single focused on their purpose and their money and their career, and just like not even like this isn't even in their awareness right now because their finances have just been destroyed, right? So that comes back to like that evolutionary biological aspect of it, right? Men want to provide, they want to protect, they want to feel like they're on purpose, they're single focused, you know, from a evolutionary biological perspective. So this throws off a lot of that.
Yeah, that's interesting that you're right, because so many people are stuck and their business is either log jammed right now or gone, or they're thinking of a new business and they just can't wait to go. So when this unlocks, it's going to be one of two things. It's either going to be a mad rush, one way to get into a relationship because you're lonely, and that's going to happen regardless. And at the other time, at the same time, they may be going headfirst into business and just putting their nose to the grindstone for that reason. So that's interesting. That is going to be an interesting dynamic. So let's see how this starts to unwind, and that'll be we'll have a continuation of that, Betty.
And you're welcome to message. Like, I have certain profile pics that I could tell you that should go up, which is a much longer discussion. I'm happy to tell you the top 5. I would tell you too. It's like, feel free to message or.
Yeah, same. So Dana, our friend Dana, says, I have not dated in 6 years, not sure how to get back in. I have tried online. I have put I'm in a chair and have left it out. Get called false advertising for showing myself on an elliptical, which is current and in chair. Suggestions.
Oh, Dana, this is a great question. What do you think?
Hold on, before we go into it, I'm just gonna there's a follow-up to that, and maybe we'll go into the other so we don't have to go back into it, the two different ones. Being real gets either weirdos or no contacts. There's a weird dynamic of being in a chair. It's so far not attractive or attractive to someone who wants to be in control, of my every move. Too needy of a man as well. Yeah.
So what I would come back to, and this is a much longer discussion that we can have too, but this is what I would say to this. And this is from my perspective. I don't have your same perspective. So you take it or leave, you know, take what works and leave the rest. But what I would get back to on this place is going really inward and getting the energy of exactly what you're looking for. Because and this is the space that I get into now, is like, what do I want to call in and what do I want to attract? And how do I shift my energy from these past experiences that I've had to a place of possibility where something crazy and amazing that I've never even considered because I've never experienced it before could come into my existence. I would say the authentic space is really the one you want to be in. And I know Tony thinks that word's overused. I still use it. I think that I would put it in the photos because I think that's what's I think that's what I would do. But I think it's really about coming back to like, what's the must-haves, what's the nice-to-haves, and what's the things I won't tolerate. And really coming back into, because you have so much, I know you, and you have so much incredible energy that you could actually work to harness that more and attract it in this beautiful, magical, miraculous way. That and I think it's important to say that relationships are a miracle. Like finding someone, I believe that finding someone who's at the same place of time that you are, they're on the same page, they want the same things, and they're all your must-haves. They make you laugh, you want to have sex with them, you're attracted to them, they're personally like whatever your must-haves are, right? It's a miracle. Like it's a miracle to find these things now, I think. But that's what we're looking for. That's actually what we deserve, and that's what we're looking for. And I think that takes a lot of magic and inward stuff. Tony, what do you think?
I think you're on point. It's again, this is a specific conversation because it's a specific situation. But at the end, I still say, and again, Dana, you're just such a beautiful soul. And honestly, she's probably one of the most joyful people I know, which is amazing. So love that. I think that, and as difficult as this is sometimes to say, is sometimes just being you and letting your letting your light shine, letting your freak flag fly, whatever that takes, right? Just be you, and hopefully you'll attract the right person. Certainly being in the situation that we are now, that, there's nobody really moving around and it's difficult to meet people anywhere outside of online. It's more of a challenge. But I think that, rolling into circles, because I know that, you've been an athlete with skiing and with different things. So just continue doing that. That's the same tip that I give to people, to anyone. Where do I find someone? Well, go out and do what it is that you love doing. If you love bike riding, then ride a bike. If you love the beach, then hang out at the beach. If you love whatever it is that you love doing, continue doing it. And that's where you're going to wind up finding someone that at least has similar interests to you, right? If you hate bars, don't hang out in bars. If you hate going to the movies, well, you probably shouldn't be hanging out at the movie theater. So things along those lines. That's just a little bit, again, like Natalie said, this is a deeper conversation that would probably take more than, another 15 minutes or so. But we can certainly talk offline, and maybe we can even get on a three-way call.
Absolutely. 100%.
And Betty goes on to ask, how many dates is appropriate before you decide yes or no? It all depends on the individual, but you go ahead, you answer that. I'd love to hear that.
I would say, again, guys, this is all about getting into the energy of really what you want, right? So being really clear about what you want, and also understanding if you're one of these people, like I think there's two kind of buckets here, and you're either like someone who knows and you can feel the energy around it right away, or somebody that is okay to kind of test things out a little bit longer. The question, wait, say it to me one more time because I went too far down the rabbit hole. What was the question?
How many dates is appropriate before you decide yes or no?
Oh God, that's a great question. That is so individual. That is like so unique. You have to know what your must-haves are, and you have to know what you're looking for. And if the person hits what you're looking for, I give it 2 or 3 dates. If I've gone out on more than like 3 dates with you, I'm considering you as I'm just gonna say how I do it, because there's so many ways to answer that. If I'm testing it out more than 3 or 4 dates, then I'm interested, because I usually know within like 2 or 3 dates. There is this weird wonky thing that happens sometimes with me between date 2 and 3. Sometimes like the tables can switch on date 3. So I just have to wait around until date 3.
I would say 3 dates is, again, because first you meet them the first time, everyone's on their best behavior and sometimes pretending to be something they're not. Second day, maybe let their guard down a little bit more. And on the third day, they're more real because they're more comfortable, because now they know that they like you, you like them. That's why you guys are there together. So I think that there's a little bit more of a comfort level. But again, I'm going to stress this again, just be authentically you. Well, I say this all the time, be you. Unless you're an ass, then be somebody else. Right.
I think knowing what you want and who you are is so important in dating. Like
which, by the way, is a topic that I wanted, because I know that this is a hot button for you, not a hot button, but something you really wanted to talk about. So I want to give it at least 15 minutes to chat about that. Is you were saying the whole thing about, you just got to love yourself and connect with yourself. And so I know that's right. So that's why I need to have this discussion with you, because we started it the other day, and I agree with that idea, but I absolutely understand what you're saying, and I think that there's a little happy medium in between. So I think it'd be great to talk about that. Let me just see if there's anything we can hit real quick here. Well, Dana says, what could I say in a short bio? Maybe we can talk about that, as well. Because again, that's going to be very specific, and we want to try to be as broad as possible. Betty's playing Cupid. That was for Dana. Yeah, I figured. Willard's a good guy. So we'll talk about that offline. We'll have a three-way conversation.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, no, you really, listen, you need to be on your own, fall in love with yourself, because when you love yourself, then you can find someone else. And I'll go first and say that I do believe that when you're happy with yourself, and you love yourself, it's easier to attract the person that is going to come into your life. I do believe that.
Of course.
And I do love your twist on it, your take on it, because it's true. That doesn't, just because you're, so yeah, I'm going to let you take it now and give me your piece on it.
Yeah. So I'll just lay the groundwork as you just did, Tony. It's 100% important for you to know yourself, love yourself, care about yourself, self-care. All those things are real. And the more you love yourself and the more you know who you are, we attract our mirrors, right? And reflections. Everybody's a reflection of ourselves. So when you know your worth and your value, which is where I started coaching, was all that kind of content, you're going to attract people that are better for you, right? They're going to value you and appreciate you as well. And there is a point at which we tell women, mid-30s generally, I think a lot of mid-30s women hear this, is like, well, look, when you find yourself and you truly love yourself, you'll call in your true love. And I think this is just about, don't ever say this to a woman who says she's looking for a relationship or who wants a partner, because it is the absolute worst advice that you can give somebody. And I'll tell you why. Because what you're essentially saying to her is, you are not enough. Even though you have done all this work and you have done all these exercises and you have read all these books, you're still not enough, because you're still asking for something that you haven't become enough of. And that's why you haven't called it in. And it's your fault. That's basically how it's heard. Right? Not for everybody. And again, this is my perspective and this is my lens. I don't hear it this way anymore, because I've done a ton of work and I understand different ways of thinking about this stuff. But when I was in the space where I'm like, I would love to have a relationship right now, and someone would say that to me, I had a healer that was saying that kind of stuff to me. And I'd be like, look, I get that you're telling me to have self-love, and I'm doing all these things for self-love. And ultimately, I was getting in my own way. I've said this 45 minutes ago. I have the most amazing humans and men in my life always. I don't have this story where I have crappy men in my life. It was my stuff I had to work out. And we make a woman feel like she's not enough when we say that. So the thing to really get here is that it is okay to say you want a partnership. Like, we make women think, we tell these women, like, it's so, be independent and start your businesses and run your businesses and you can do everything that a man can do. And okay, we're not meant to do life alone. We're not actually meant to do this alone. coming back to evolutionary biology, if we go back to cave people and tell them the same things we tell women now, we would not be here now. We're not to do it alone. So stop telling us to do it alone.
Yeah.
You know?
I completely, that's why I'm saying I love the perspective, because I so agree with it. What I usually tell a woman that's looking for a relationship, but this is great because I've said this to a few people, and one of them in particular that I'm thinking about just got married like 6 months ago, which was awesome.
Yay.
Yeah. So what I tell people is, listen, just because you're ready for that special person doesn't mean he's ready for you. Maybe he's still exiting a relationship. Maybe he's still growing through what he's going through, right? Maybe he's still, maybe he's not done baking. You don't want somebody that's half baked, right? He's still in the oven, right? So just because you're ready for that special person, maybe that special person just isn't quite ready for you for whatever reason. And we just never know, why things happen and when they happen. But I will say that for whatever reason, if a relationship ends, listen, imagine that it's life working for you, because maybe it was just going to be more painful. Maybe it was going to end more disastrously. Maybe there was going to be, more negative consequences. Maybe you just waste another 10 years of your life. And, so there's so many different ways of looking at things. So it's about being, I think it's really, you got to be grateful for who's in your life and who comes into your life, the good, the bad, especially the ugly. I think we were talking about this before, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, that's my perspective. I no longer tell people, I do say, listen, you've got to love and it's so true. You've got to love yourself and be okay with yourself, because happiness is an inside job. And I think that going into a relationship looking for happiness and this person is going to make me happy, you're screwed, because you're putting the key to your happiness in somebody else's pocket.
I agree.
At any point, they could be like, nope, not going to give you happy today.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, the more whole and complete you are, right? The more whole and complete you are, and we never stop, we're never totally whole and complete. We are and we aren't. That's a longer story too, but we're always growing, right? But the more that you, the more strong you are in yourself and your own, like, hey, I have my own inner peace. I can create my own happiness. I don't need somebody for that. There's a very different energy. And this is really what I want to hone in on. And this is probably what the healer was trying to tell me many years ago. So there's a very different energy between needing something and wanting it, right? Totally different energy there. So if you're in a space where you're like, I just need a relationship, I'm so lonely, I feel sad, universe is not going to give that person the right person to you in that moment, because you're
miserable.
You're coming from a fear-based place, and you're going to attract another fear-based human, right? That's
exactly. I agree with that.
There's a slight shift between needing and wanting, and when you're in that wanting space, it kind of sounds like I trust, I surrender, everything. It is as it should be. Universe will bring me the people that I'm supposed to know, and it's all beautiful. And that's a beautiful, awesome, happy space to be in. And that there's a big difference there's a slight switch, but a big difference between who you attract in each of those spaces.
Yeah. I so agree with that. Agree with that. Is if you're, again, it's that whole scarcity mindset. You're either living in scarcity or you're living in abundance. Yeah. And I think you're right. If you're like, I need to get into a relationship, that's what's going to make me happy, then you may very well attract either the person that's going to be in the same way, and there's going to be kind of a freaky situation, or you're going to attract a really good guy or a really good woman, and they're going to be kind of overwhelmed by because nobody wants to be someone. Listen, don't get me wrong. I want to feel needed. I want to feel important. I want to feel that I matter. I want to feel that I want to be acknowledged, right? And I want to feel like I'm needed. Mm-hmm. But I don't necessarily want to be with somebody that's needy and whiny either.
Big difference.
Yeah, that's exactly. I want it, but I want it and need it. Oddly enough, use the same word. Yeah, I think everybody does, right? Just like men need to have that appreciation. We need to be appreciated for what it is that we do, because the more we are, the more we'll do. Oddly enough, right? If we're appreciated, the more we'll do. And women also need, so we have needs that we've got to be met. But it's just to Natalie's point, for all of you that are watching, I think it's so true when you say I want to get into a relationship. I really want to get into a relationship because I have so much love to give. I have so much to contribute to a relationship. It's one thing. When I need a relationship, because when you go into a relationship needing, you're just taking.
And your
right?
energy is different. Like there's a tug in your energetic cord with the person that you've courted with. This is a longer discussion, but it feels different for the other person on the other side of that. It's a totally different energy.
Yeah. Again, I'm going to call Tony Robbins again. He's on my mind for whatever reason. One of the things that he teaches on Relationship Day is a relationship, and this is so true, and it may not be his material, maybe someone else. A relationship is a place where you go to give.
Yeah, I love this line.
Not where in a relationship, it's not a place where you go to get.
That's right.
A relationship is a place where you go to give. And I say this all the time, usually around my wife, for the record. So there's going to be a couple of people that are gonna hate me for this, but but I say relationships are 50-50, right? I mean, we hear that all the time. Relationships are 50-50. I'm like, yeah, she cooks, I eat, I dirty, she cleans. It's awesome, right? Obviously, it's a joke.
Yeah.
Right? Marriage is not 50-50. Divorce is 50-50.
Yeah. Yeah.
Marriage or a relationship. When I say marriage, a relationship is not 50-50. It's 100-100. That way, if I show up to my relationship and I'm only giving 80%, she's giving 100, or she's picking up the slack.
That's beautiful.
Right? Or even if she's only giving 80%, guess what? We're at 160%.
That's beautiful. My parents.
Right? But if I go in, if we say it's 50-50, and I go in and I only give 30 today, and she only gives 40, well, crap. We're not at 100.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. Beautiful.
It's important to know that you're going into a relationship to give of yourself, to give of your heart, not to go get, right? Give joy, give happiness, give love, right? And then you're going to get it in return. But it's not a place where I got to go get, because after a while, you're going to be like, oh, okay, I don't want to,
Totally. Yeah. Changes the energy, shifts the energy. I love that. That's beautiful. 100. My parents say this as well, and they have a beautiful relationship. So these are the things I love to learn and hear.
Yeah. Hold on. Well, let's see. Or did you read that? Or hold on. I don't know. Hold on. I'm kind of ignoring a little bit of this. I'm sorry. Dana says, I'm finally ready to commit. I've been commitment phobic for years.
That's perfect.
That. So there you go. And so good, because we're all growing through it, right? You now realize what it is that you don't want, right? And what it is that you do. So good for you, Dana.
I love that.
She's funny. Did you read that one?
Yeah. And the thing that's the thing to get to too, is it's like, it really is all about you. Like it's divorce is so not 50-50.
Well, of course, like I said, Dana, listen, it depends on the state you're in and the attorney you get. I will give you that. I just want a best friend to love. See, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. And that's exactly, that's exactly what you need to go after. When you put that energy out there, that's what you're going to really attract.
That's right.
Find a best friend to love. I love that. Certainly, my wife is
on a note card and put that in like 20 different places in your house.
Yeah, listen, put that on the back of your wheelchair.
That's right. I love it.
I love that. Let's see. Yeah, that's beautiful. I honestly, I think that's one of that. Actually, that's a great one to almost put a cap on this. Unfortunately, this is coming to an end. We're approaching the top of the hour, and we're going to have to do this again. And I know I keep saying that I've said that to a couple of my guests already, but I'm definitely saying it to you because we can literally talk for another hour on this, and I think that we'd uncover so many things. So
I would love to. This is not topics I talk about often, but I'm open to it, and it was beautiful. So thank you for creating space for it.
And at some point, maybe we'll talk about what the other stuff is that you should talk about. As a matter of fact, wait, we are going to talk about what you're talking about. Get this, everybody. So my dear friend Natalie Susi has been nervous about starting something online. So I'm going to go ahead and pitch something for her because I've been kind of like nudging her. She's going to start her own little show like this, her own little talk, which is, again, it is Conscious Conversations.
Okay.
And it starts, when does it start?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
Tomorrow. That's amazing. It starts tomorrow at 4:00 Eastern, everybody. And guess who's going to be her first guest?
This one.
This guy. Yeah. So be there tomorrow. So join, look out for it. I'm going to post it on my page as well. But I'm excited to come on tomorrow, and maybe we can just continue this conversation, to be honest, or we can talk about whatever you want to talk about. So I'm loving the opportunity to do this again, back to back. This is awesome. Yeah, I gave Kelly a nudge. Kelly just came on. She said, sorry I missed. I'll be tuning back in. Yeah, watch the replay, Kelly. It was really good, and we're going to do it again tomorrow. She's starting her show tomorrow, and she says Tony gave me the nudge today too. That's right, I did. I'm nudging everybody.
This is what you do. This is your thing.
Look, Dana, here's Dana. Tony Rodriguez is the best coach ever. I love you, Dana. I've been pushing her to get out there as well. So let's see what else. Dana says, "Oh, a best friend that doesn't have 4 legs and tall and tail." It's good. Yeah. And Betty says, "Please come back."
Thanks for joining. That was beautiful.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Thanks. Tomorrow it's going to be at 4 o'clock Eastern, so 2 o'clock your time, 1 o'clock Pacific time. So join us tomorrow. It's going to be fun. Yeah, she's going to be preparing that little flyer today or some point and tagging me to it. Yeah, pressure's on. Listen, in fairness, you were supposed to start today, but you wanted to be on my show first.
Yeah, and we didn't confirm tomorrow, so I was getting out of it. That's where.
No. That's not the way. Listen, a good coach that holds you accountable doesn't do that.
I know.
So, hold on. Do that again. Put your head over to the side. Oh, wait. The other side. The other side. Go ahead. No, the other side.
No, I just did it.
Our heads are together.
Ah, perfect.
So tomorrow, be there 4 o'clock. This is exciting.
It is. Yes. Thank you. You're the best.
Anyway,
thank you all for watching. Thank you for creating the space. As I said.
By the way, tell us where we can find you, so I can. Let me just put on a website here.
Oh, I'm at Natalie Susi. NATALIESUSI.
SUSI.
SUSI. That's my website and my Instagram. I do running spiritual fun stories all day.
NatalieSusi.com or .com. Awesome. Kelly says resistance means it's right for you. Yes, I love it. And Kelly also says the pressure is real, especially when it comes from Tony Rodriguez, I guess. Wait, what did she just say? Tony Rodriguez is pushy, and we are grateful.
We are grateful. That's true.
So awesome. So I appreciate you. Don't go away. I'm going to just close up the show. So Thank you, my friends, for watching. Thank you for everyone who participated. Share if this video resonated with you. By all means, share it. And join us again tomorrow. Like I said, join us for Tony Talks tomorrow. And join us for Natalie Susi's show, Conscious Conversations, tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. And again, thank you for joining. Click share. Please join me on YouTube. And please subscribe to that channel. I'm trying to grow that. I appreciate all of you. And remember, my friends, that in life rather, is not about how many times you fall. It's about getting up after every fall. You fall down 7 times, get up 8. And every single time you fall, you have an opportunity to get up and grow. And grow we must, my friends. Appreciate all of you. Thank you for watching. And I will see you again tomorrow. Ciao.
Ciao.